All right, we are going to call to order the August 7th, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting. I want to start by saying hello to Commissioner Tracy Hall. Hey. All right, we're going to start with roll call. Good to see you.
All right. Commissioner Stubbs.
Here.
Vice Chair Taylor.
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler.
Here.
Commissioner DeLue.
Here.
Commissioner Gisler.
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler.
Here.
Commissioner Mazer.
Here.
Commissioner Morales.
Present.
Chair Ray.
Here.
You have 9 present.
Thank you. All right. The next item on the agenda is public comment time. This is a time when anyone may address the board on any topic. If you would like to address the board, please come to the podium. Please state your name and tell us where you're from. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Your time is displayed, and once your 3 minutes are up, your time to speak has finished. This is a time to provide input in a professional and respectful manner. Are there any members of the public who wish to make public comments?
Good afternoon. Jane Ghosh with Discover Kalamazoo, and I'm coming here today to talk briefly on 3 topics. The first is to thank Vice Chair Taylor and Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler for participating with us in our press conference announcing our new ad campaign just the week before last. And I'm actually on the agenda for 2 weeks from today. Well, I'll take the whole board through that campaign, and I'll have some early results for you. So I look forward to sharing that. Second part of my comment is actually linked to that. At that same press conference, Hillary Doe, the Chief Growth Officer for Michigan, part of MEDC, came and announced a grant, the Make My Home grant that you have in your board packet today. And since that press conference, a coalition of us have gotten together, and we are preparing an application for that grant. We think we have a really great plan. We were also encouraged to apply as part of the press conference that we did and that the commissioners participated in. You'll see on your agenda, in order to get that $250,000 grant, we need $50,000 of matching funds and an administrator. And that is what is in your packet. And I really would ask for your approval of that. We think it could have a great impact on our community. We are specifically going to be focused on our institutions of higher learning, Kalamazoo Valley Community College, Western, and K College, and how do we retain those students incrementally by helping them make connections in the community and then having them serve as ambassadors for students in the future to retain what we know is such valuable students. And to be clear, we're focused on the students who come to Kalamazoo from out of state, and we want to keep them here because that's a great opportunity for population growth for us. And then lastly, I wanted to make you aware of 2 big events that are happening in the community this weekend. One is outdoors, one is indoors. I think we have great weather for both of them. The outdoor event, and I passed, the commissioners I was able to talk to before the meeting, passes to the USTA Junior Boys Nationals Tennis Championships, the 16s and 18s. This year at Wimbledon, in the top 16 players, 3 of those top 16 players were boys who played in Kalamazoo in the last few years. So that's the caliber of tennis that is here for the 81st year here in Kalamazoo County. And Commissioner Morales and Commissioner Mazer, if you would like a pass, I have a pass for you. Would you like a pass? Of course, of course. All right, can I give this to you, Wendy? Thank you. And then also, a big attraction here in Kalamazoo County is the Air Zoo, and which is the only place that you can see the SR-71B version of the Blackbird, the training version of the Blackbird. And the pilots and people with Lockheed Martin who are affiliated with that program are here again for Spyposium this weekend. So you can go, you can meet the pilot who flew the fastest trip across the continental United States, people who were involved in all those spy missions, and you can actually get a chance to sit in the cockpit of the fastest aircraft ever. So just an opportunity. Thank you very much. And I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Jane. Are there any others who wish to make public comment? Seeing none, Dina, do we have anyone online?
Chair, there are no hands raised.
Thank you, Dina. All right, so the next item on the agenda is May 2024 tornado presentation by Sheriff Fuller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have a shortened video for you, and it's a pretty good video. It's a compilation of different events throughout the county. Some of the 911 you'll hear. You'll see some faces that have been blocked out. These are victims, and so we've blocked out their faces. But we've pared it down to about 5 minutes. And at the end of that, I just have a few notes I want to make for you. But Dina, if you can go ahead and present the video, and has a good audio with it as well. Oh, she did play it on her computer. I saw it, yeah. Oh. All right. I know you mentioned. All right, so I'm just going to act it out. No. No. Well, anyways, so we'll show you at another time or somehow. But bottom line is that night, and you've heard some of these things, but we've been wanting to try and present a small package of what happened. Ultimately, the overall 15-minute video that was put together will be on our websites at the sheriff's office and through emergency management. But I just want to remind everybody that on that date, I'll tell you that the fire departments, it was Texas, and I'll talk about the outlying areas. Portage, of course, had a great response in the city of Portage, and they assisted where they could on either side of Portage. But we had South County Fire, we had Comstock Fire, we had Texas Fire, even Richland Fire came down into Pavilion to assist us in the mobile home park out in Pavilion Estates. Calhoun County Sheriff's Office sent people over. We had MSP. I saw the Augusta police chief out there assisting people as we were out there. Life EMS, of course, MSP and KDPS. The video is one that is taken from the Axon cameras that you all helped us purchase. And it's a great video. And one of the cool things is you hear firsthand experience and you see firsthand experience from the rescuers. There's deputies going through houses that are upside down, and you can hear the gas going in the background. You hear the victims, asking for help, because bottom line is, that they're just totally dazed. So it touched down near 10th Street. It was really obvious where it came down on days after when you go out there and look at it. It came across our avenue, and it lasted for 11 miles, and it was about 22 minutes. That's a long time for a tornado to be in any area, and it had high winds of 135 miles an hour. So the National Weather Service put out that information. And then another interesting thing you see it in the video, is that the sheriff's office is trying to get people off the main streets in the mobile home community, because we're being alerted that there's a second tornado coming our way. And that was from the Central Dispatch, another huge partner in this event that lent itself to the success, and I would say helping people make sure that people were safe that night. We all know that very fortunately no lives were lost in this event, and that's huge. That's one thing that is remarked when I'm at the National Sheriff's Association talking about this, how long it is, how big it was, how fast it was, and that there was a second one right behind it that was never confirmed except for on radar, but everybody saw it. It comes down to this. It's very uncommon that nobody dies, and 16 people were injured. Those injuries were minor enough that most people were out of the hospital within a couple of days. And bottom line is, I'll say Life EMS and all the first responders did a spectacular job that night, taking care of everybody so well. Long and short of it is, you've heard the numbers. In fact, I have to say thank you at this point, because I appreciate our board being so forward thinking to make sure that you guys were helping all of the different townships. You've helped Texas Township, you've helped the city of Portage, you've helped Pavilion Township with dollars to help replenish what they spent. And now, of course, through the emergency declaration, everybody's going to see these dollars come back into these budgets. And that's just going to be a huge help. We know that people are still out of permanent housing from the loss in this tornado event. And so the work continues. I will encourage you, and we'll make sure that the information is put out there for everybody to take time and go watch the video. We'll have the 15-minute version on there. And but all in all, it's a great video to see the collaboration between everybody on these scenes. It's a path, of course. It shows you the path. You hear dispatch giving the information, and ultimately, I think you're going to like it. But please take an opportunity to watch that, and I thank you for an opportunity to come up here and speak to that and make sure that you guys knew. The last thing I was going to leave you with is one of the things that I noticed that night and the days after, and anybody that was doing any work on this noticed right away. People were telling us, because we started asking people, how did you hear the tornado was coming? Or how did you know there was a tornado? And it was the same pattern. If I was in Texas and talking to somebody, they said this. If I was out in Pavilion or in the city of Portage, everybody said this. My phone went off first. Everybody said, my phone went off first. They didn't even know it was storming. And so they go, oh, that's a tornado. It's coming my way. My phone tells me that. So where do they go next? Keith Thompson. Keith Thompson told them second. And they said, ooh, Keith's taking this serious. And he made it serious. He said, listen to me, get out into the basements, take cover now. It's here. And then the last thing was, and it was interesting to see this because, you know, not everybody's got a tornado siren and they don't cover all the areas. But if you were in an area that had a siren, or even out into Texas where they could hear the Portage siren, people would say, and then I heard the siren and I knew I had to get to my basement. And there was one family in particular I spoke with that they went through all of that. And at the end, when they said, we got to go to the basement, they got to the basement just in time for their house to be leveled. They lost the whole second floor of their house and they were in the basement. And they sat there waiting and waiting, thinking it's now time to come out because they heard everything going away. And they thought it was a terrible rain hitting the house. As they're going up the stairwell, they had their hand on the wall. And the husband says, how come my wall's wet? And the wife says, it's not wet. He goes, no, it's wet. And they get upstairs, they open up the door, and they're looking at the sky where they had a whole second floor before. So many blessings were counted that night. And long and short of it is, I just want you to be able to take time, see the video, and listen to the information related to that. But thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Sheriff Fuller. There's a good video, so if everyone doesn't have it, we'll make sure you get it. Is it also going to be posted on the website? Okay. Are there any questions for Sheriff Fuller? No? Thank you so much.
Can I just mention one more thing? I apologize.
Yeah.
Since this happened, I'm new. Since this has happened, and we heard a lot of people asking about the tornado sirens, and some people would say, how come ours didn't go off and yours went off? And we had it again just this last week when there was a tornado warning in the southern part of our county, and certain areas would hear the sirens, but others wouldn't. The system is now designed in a way that they will activate according to what areas are going to be affected. And it's not going to be a blanket like it used to be, because it used to be people would complain and say, how come I heard tornado sirens and we've got nothing? Well, you could have lived in the north end of a county and there's no weather up there. And in the south end, there was a tornado or an alert for a reason. And so what's happening is across the board, those systems are being changed to make sure that it is a per area or per path type alert system. And so that's what's working. But at the same time, the chief, our pro tem vice chair, Jeff, and I have been able to speak with the companies that actually service these tornado sirens. And there is more interest in the community than ever before, which we totally understand. And we are talking to the company that does the work in this area. And I think you're going to see a proposal to the board, at least as a concept, in the next couple months when we come back to talk about the possibility of a authority for the tornado sirens. So anyways, with that, I'm really done.
Thank you. Next, we have review of accounts payable and payroll disbursements. Finance Director post.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, Board of Commissioners. We have an accounts payable claim list totaling $7,931,888 is presented for review. Of this total, The Board of Commissioners is asked to approve claims totaling $6,482,875.14. Payroll disbursements totaling $7,955,080.59 are presented for the July 19th general and special, July 31st elected, and August 2nd payrolls. There is one conflict of interest with this batch of claims, and that's Commissioner Jen Shrebs, in the amount of $165.18 for mileage reimbursement to the MAC conference in Lansing. Welcome any questions from the Board of Commissioners at this time.
Any questions? John?
I do not have questions. I went through it.
All right, thank you. Just want to make sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, under any other items, we have material management planning committee discussion. Kevin, you want to take us through that?
Hi, yes, good evening. So for our Materials Management Planning Committee, we are on a pretty strict deadline or timeline, I guess I should say, with the state. We are in need of getting our members appointed by the September 3rd meeting so that they can begin their work and get their documents to the state in December. With that, that leaves us just one meeting before September 3rd. That leaves us August 20th. So there's three kind of discussion items that we're posing to the board tonight that we need some guidance on of how y'all would like to approach the interviews. Generally speaking, when we have a new committee, those are full board interviews. There are 11 sectors that, yes, there are 11 sectors that make up this committee as dictated by legislation. So we have done it a couple different ways. So for our first discussion tonight, we're just needing some direction on how y'all want to review the applications and then also interview the applicants. So option one would be to interview those applicants after the board appointments committee. They're going to be making selections with those applications tomorrow at their meeting. And who they select to interview, then we could hold those interviews at the 8/20 committee of the whole. So hold some of those at the committee of the whole meeting and then hold the rest of those at the regular meeting. And then y'all would make a decision still that evening for the appointments to occur on September 3rd. You could also have some of the interviews on that September 3rd, but again, that would then require you to take immediate action that same evening. Option two would be to hold a special meeting with the Board of Commissioners to interview applicants sometime in the month of August. And if y'all select this option, we need to select a date this evening for that special meeting. And then option three is to give the authority to the Board Appointments Committee to select, interview, and make those recommendations to the Board of Commissioners in time for your September 3rd regular meeting. This more than likely may require the Board Appointments Committee to hold a special meeting in August. So I will pause there for any questions y'all may have with this first discussion.
Certainly, I understand the spirit of us. There's a new committee, the full board being part of that interview process. This Materials Management Planning Commission, it sounds a lot better than Solid Waste Commission that it used to be. But it's a lot of requirements from the state. It's a lot of work from the local townships and local municipalities that put this together. I'd be perfectly okay with suspending our bylaws and allowing the appointments committee to make recommendations to the full board if the appointments committee is cool with having another meeting instead of the full board having another meeting. But that's just my 2 cents. I'm for option three because I think it saves all of our time.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Duluth?
I'm on the Board Appointments Committee. That's a good thing. And I'm trying not to sound lazy, but we have actually in the past appointed individuals to boards without interviews for various reasons. I'm not a big fan of the interviews myself, as I've always said, and some of you've heard it 6 times. They have the questions in advance. It's like an open book test. I'm more rely on their resumes. for almost any board, which is true for me. This board we're talking about now, it's a specialty, it's a niche. Everybody that applied, except for one individual who I think was just want to be a helpful citizen, has their own knowledge and specialties. I mean, these people are extremely qualified. When I was initially going through the applications, I kind of set up my own little spreadsheet trying to figure out who goes where, only to find out that Planning Director Grover had already done all that work for us. And she is obviously very qualified to guide us. She has made recommendations. I don't know how the board feels about her administration, but I have no problem even tonight appointing these individuals to the board based on her recommendations, in addition to appointing Commissioner Hepler as the elected county official. That is my thought. We're under time constraints. These people are qualified. Interviewing them, in my opinion, is certainly not going to change my mind. And that's just how I feel.
Support.
Yes. I'm on the Board Appointments Committee and I will support that as well. Commissioner Straps?
Thank you, Chair. In spirit, I'm in support as well. I think the one thing I would suggest is that if this board selects option 3, the Board Appointments Committee can then sort through. There's a number of individuals that, as laid out in the bar, that qualify for a number of the sectors, et cetera. So we can just have that discussion at the board appointments meeting tomorrow, and then identify who is what so that we can vote on it on the August 20th meeting. Board appointments is also taking the action not to conduct interviews before, and we could choose to do that. Again, it's a procedure, not a policy, the interview process. So we have discretion there. So that's what I would suggest. I think it would be an efficient use of this board's time to just let us hash out those particular details at board appointments, and then we'll vote them all through in 820 would be my suggestion.
Thank you, Commissioner Straps. Any other opinions?
I just have a question for Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Would you like to serve on this? I think you already serve on the other committee, and we need an elected official. So.
Yes.
Great.
I've been doing a lot of research on actually before this off. So I know the other one already.
Great.
I think that one resolves once this one is put in place, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like we have a plan, Deputy Administrator.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand. So y'all are technically selecting option 3 along the Board Appointments Committee to review, who more than likely will be reviewing Director Grover's memo for recommendation. I believe that a motion will be needed to suspend y'all's bylaws to give that authority to the Board Appointments Committee, but I'll confirm that with legal, and y'all would have that motion at the next meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
And y'all answered all 3 questions right there, so great job.
Thanks, Commissioner DeLu. All right, next is the Make Michigan Home Grant request for local matching funding. Administrator Catlin.
Yes, I'll take that one as well. So in your packet this evening, we have a memo that's from Director Grover again. Discover Kalamazoo made reference to this, Jane Ghosh made reference to this during public comment time, but there is an opportunity for a grant to be applied for. There's a memo within your board portal and civic clerk from that group, kind of outlining a few more details there of how that group came to be. But essentially this is a pilot program that offers both monetary and non-monetary attraction and retention incentives to encourage employees to put down roots here in Michigan, and specifically we would be applying for Kalamazoo County. The first ask is for the county to support that match, that local match of $50,000 as a requirement of the grant. The second component to that is that Kalamazoo County government will be the applicant administering the grant, so essentially receiving the funding and then processing the payments. The partners in that collaboration They're going to be writing the grant application, developing the criteria for the pilot program, marketing the program, scoring the applicants, and collecting data for measuring the success of the pilot. So those are the asks that are coming forward to you this evening. And if y'all have any questions, then I will probably call up Director Grover to answer.
Thank you, Deputy Administrator. Any discussion? Vice Chair?
Yeah, so there, we're gonna use the 250,000 for rental assistance and stipends for people that are graduating from our higher universities. Is that basically the gist of it?
Yes, too. And I also want to make sure I acknowledge that Director Belkema back here was also in this group too. And I just want to, in case she can help me answer any questions, but yes, it would be primarily for stipends and housing assistance. And it's been very thoughtful discussions on how that would roll out so that, you know, somebody's not leaving maybe in 3 months. It would be over a period of time. It would be to keep them hopefully in Kalamazoo for 1 year. And then they would be also having some connection with community members, including some of the young professional networks are already kind of coming forward to make them at home, like taking them to, there will be some monetary assistance to some members of the community to take them to things like, you know, the Air Zoo, the KAA, to restaurants and bars, or, you know, places, establishments in the community, and also have meetup events where they could meet other people that are already here and involved in the community. So that would be a little bit of the funding as well for that.
Okay, I've got really no problem with a 5-to-1 match on a grant. Anytime you're getting 5-to-1, that's good bang for your buck. This is, I mean, how we develop our plan is not, I mean, I guess what I think the best way to get young college graduates or people in higher education to stick to the community is paid internships. Getting them involved in the businesses in the community and getting their feet in the door, whether it be an internship at the county or an internship at a strike or an internship at some of the, I think that tying some of that in with the plan, I think would probably increase the success rate, but that's just my 2 cents. I'm not going to stand away from a 5-to-1 match.
And that was also talked about, but the primary, I think, focus is they're hoping that it will be a decision-making incentive for them to choose a job here versus choosing a job in another community. So jobs were also very much a part of this conversation. That's not that is expected, that there will be work that they will be doing here, but it's hopefully that they will choose to stay here versus going to, you know, the West Coast. You know, this might encourage them to be here if they're having housing assistance.
Commissioner Schertz?
Thank you, Chair. Just additional follow-up for Director Grover. Sorry. Are we targeting specific types of folks in specific degree paths, or that are, you know, likely to find long-term employment in the community, like people in health research, for example, or is it open to anyone? How do we sort of like sift through the potential applicants that come forward and make sure that they're a good fit for the community, that we're likely to be successful, encouraging them to stay?
Sure. Yeah, Southwest Michigan First and the universities and KVCC will be working on that piece. That was part of the discussion, part of the, you know, looking at specific job needs here in this community, public safety, education, healthcare. But we also didn't want to limit, you know, there's engineers from Western. And so we felt like that might limit. We only have a year to spend the funding. We wanted to make sure we were getting enough people to apply that will want to stay here and commit to the full year. So it's really going to be open. But Western and Southwest Michigan First will be working on that.
Any other discussion? Lindy, what do you need from us?
I believe y'all will need to make a motion this evening, and I'm not sure if it's happening in this. Yeah, so I believe I'll need to make a motion under new business to add this to new business. So during the approval of the agenda at the 7 o'clock, you'll add this to new business.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Director Grover. All right, so next we have the opioid settlement fund micro grant discussion. Deputy Administrator.
Oh man, just a show tonight. All right. So I'm bringing this back to y'all after our discussion last meeting. I was able to follow back up with the Kalamazoo Community Foundation. I have 4 questions that I'm posing with y'all tonight. The first one is probably the most important one, but just to quickly recap for the direction I was given, we are giving $250,000 to Kalamazoo Community Foundation to administer immediate needs opioid remediation type grants to our community. The maximum dollar amount will be $30,000 for those micro grants, and that we will be utilizing the foundation's Community Impact Committee, as well as if you would like to have some of the Board of Commissioners participating, and or if you would like to have some from the task force participating, that could be an option too. We will also be bringing back, so during the next meeting, so on the 8/20 meeting, Kalamazoo Community Foundation will have the finalized grant application scoring matrix and reporting tool for y'all all to review, make changes, ask questions, do whatever you would like at that meeting. To get to that point, though, what we need to know this evening is my question number 1. It would benefit those that are not only applying for this grant, but also the ones that are reviewing it, if we understood more of where the focus is for this round of funding for those immediate opioid remediation needs. When I initially just kept that very vague and gave them Exhibit E, which is a 15-page document. In my conversations with them, they highly encouraged if we could narrow that down. I think that would help the applicants, but really those scorers as well, to know where it is that the commissioners are desiring to fund this application. And I want to just highlight this a little bit more of, we're looking at, if everyone applies for $30,000, we're looking at somewhere between 6 to 8 applications that may be given out. Let's just say we have 20 people that apply. They all score really well because we know we have qualified and wonderful programs here in our community. They all score really well. How then, and let's just say they all score the same, how then does that committee make the decision on who to fund without knowing a little bit more from y'all of how you want to narrow that in? So it's really where they're coming from, is that perspective. And if there's any sort of guidance that can be given, that's going to help lend itself to the application and also that scoring matrix. This question was also posed today. We did have an opioid task force meeting today at 11:30. And so that question was discussed a little bit. 4 of the commissioners were there at that meeting. So I'll kind of pause there and see how y'all would like to proceed with question number 1.
Thank you. Commissioner Schwartz.
Thank you, Chair. So just want to really briefly recap discussion at the opioid task force. Really the sense there was that leaving it as broad as possible left opportunity for people to innovate or to come forward with their particular needs. I think, unfortunately, that then becomes difficult for the grant scoring committee that will go forward if we don't offer them a little bit of guidance about what would be appropriate. So I did hear specifically lifted up from the task force concerns about pregnant and postpartum women in particular. They also lifted up ensuring that we have people with lived experience sitting on the committee that helps to score the applications. But here, what I would recommend, Deputy Smith has included Exhibit E for us, and within that, the first part of it is something called Schedule A, and this identifies, I believe it is like 6 core strategies. And I think what it might be best for this board to do is to either elevate those as the strategies that we want to see addressed or pare them down from there a bit. So that would include naloxone, a drug to reverse opioid overdoses is the first, medication-assisted treatment is the second. Pregnant postpartum women is the third, expanding treatment for neonatal abstinence, the fourth, warm handoff programs and recovery services is the fifth, and then treatment for incarcerated populations and prevention programs, and also syringe programs. So I think it would help us to pare that down from there, in particular that postpartum incarcerated persons syringe programs will be ones of particular priority I would lift up. Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Vice Chair Pro Tem?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, we also have to be cautious. This is a limited amount of funds. It sounds like a lot of money, but first off, one, we don't have it all. Number two, we want to try to make it last as long as we can, and you know, provide the best treatments that we can for folks, but also be accountable, but not make it so difficult to score and to administer that nobody either applies for it or gets way over their head on what they got to do. But we do have to keep in mind that these are limited funds and they are monies that we got one-time shot at. So want to be most mindful as to how it gets spent and that it gets get the best bang for our buck. Thank you.
Vice Chair.
I appreciate both commissioners' comments on this. This is, as I've said lots of times before, not my area of expertise. How we got here, I think, is we are trying to get time for that opioid task force to come up with a grand, master plan that's going to be effective and long-term, sustainable, and strategy. And what this, my thought on it is it buys us time for the immediate need and the immediate outcry from the community, saying, "Hey, you've got this large amount of money. Where's our plan?" We don't have a plan yet. But I think, as Commissioner Streb said, looking at sort of the immediate impact, the reverse the opioid doses, A on your thing, on scheduled E, pregnant and postpartum women, I think are needs that we can shoot that money in and look for grants and that time, and that buys us time for the other 17 million or 18 million, whatever it's going to be, to come up with a master plan to spend those dollars. This $250,000, as Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler said, is it's going to hopefully buy us about a year or 8 months or 9 months of time that we can show the community that we're putting forth a good faith effort and addressing the immediate need while still understanding the long-term goal of these dollars. So I'd take both commissioners' advice and kind of stick to that scheduled E and kind of pick a couple things that we want to do with that so that they can score easily. But yeah, I kind of agree with both of my colleagues on this.
I'll add my 2 cents. So I appreciate their comments. I also appreciate the comments of the folks on the task force. I think we have a good group of people. And the discussion there was to kind of leave it broad so we wouldn't be limiting people. And we chose option 3, which was treatment prevention. And then I also heard lifted up some housing supports and then pay for recovery coaches. I don't think that would make it difficult to score the applications. I think it kind of allows more people to apply for the money, and then it just takes time to score and choose who gets the money. I don't want to see us limited to just a few categories, and then we get 2 applications because nobody's actually doing that work, and we don't know who's doing what in that space. But we had a committee of people who are doing work in that space tell us that this is what will probably work and where we'll see proposals. So for me, it would be to choose the treatment prevention. And then I think I also heard harm reduction, housing supports, and then payment for recovery coaches. Any other commissioners? No. Commissioner Strauss?
Thank you. I agree, Chair Ray, you are right, and I do think it is important to understand we do want flexibility. One of the other items that was lifted up in discussion too was that within the scoring matrix, and we can address this when we look at the materials received from the community foundation, but that components of equity are a core factor in the scoring, which will help sort of narrow down if we get 30 applications, you know, which 6 probably will go forward. I think the core strategies within Schedule A really they're pretty broad. When you go into Schedule B, it just becomes more specific, or though Schedule A does not specifically address housing, but it does talk about recovery programs, prevention, syringe. So I'm open to either. I think that the core strategies are quite broad, but we do want to make sure that equity is a component in scoring. I wanted to make sure that was elevated. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Morales?
Thank you, Chair. So I remember, I can't think who was sitting next to me that mentioned the housing component. So how, I guess, where would we link that into the funding? Like, are we reaching out? Is that going to be one entity combined? Like, does she do housing and she does the advocacy? So the 2 points that she talked about is what she does. Oh, okay. I don't know what she does.
Yep, she does. And then I think there are a few others who also have recovery
Okay.
houses. But looking at like the form Lindy provided us for that meeting, option 3 talked about treatment, prevention, and then other strategies. So when I wrote those down, I kind of put them under other strategies so that they would have a place. Go ahead, and then Lindy.
We did talk about that, but because the county has housing, the city has housing, it was talked about that we might be able to partner with that and maybe work on the whole thing, collaborate with our housing director and the city's housing director. As this is a limited amount of funding that we have, it makes sense to see what we can come up with in a partnership, maybe.
I think that's cute and it could work. However, I think what she was speaking to more so was we have an individual in a shelter or something like that, and housing is a barrier, and they're trying to assist them through recovery. There's no funding to kind of, you know, assist with that first month rent deposit or whatever it is, the housing supports that are needed and necessary. I think I don't see an issue with an organization getting a $30,000 grant and wanting to support in that way if that's how they want to use the funding. We do have the millage and all the other housing things available, but that's completely separate, and housing is a part of addressing this issue as well, in my opinion. So I wouldn't see an issue with someone writing that in their grant application. Lindy and then Commissioner Morales.
I wanted to just clarify, there's so many letters and part ones, and it can get a little confusing. So I was trying to simplify it a little bit. Under option, let me go back to where I was. Under option 3, that would be selecting from within Schedule B of the Exhibit E. And I know that's confusing, but there's 3 parts to that. Part 1 is treatment, part 2 is prevention, and part 3 is other strategies. So I just want to be clear that those other strategies, as listed in Schedule B of Exhibit E, so that y'all are aware what that means, so we could change it to how maybe you want it to mean. But that would be items for like for first responders, It would be for leadership planning and coordination, so spending money to support leadership planning, coordination, facilitation, training, technical assistance, things like that, training, and then research. And so I just want to be really clear what those other strategies are, because those are kind of more in that administrative vein, which is completely fine, but I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Commissioner Morales. But if we wanted to, could we just say treatment, prevention, and other strategies and list out the housing, recovery coaches, harm reduction, and just leave it at that?
Yeah, what I would probably encourage that we would do is that we would pull from the language for treatment and prevention from Schedule B, but then separately, y'all would list other strategies that y'all are defining so that there's not confusion to that applicant that the other strategies listed in this Exhibit E is what you mean.
Commissioner Strips.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy Administrator, isn't Schedule A is broader, Schedule B becomes more specified? So if this board moves forward, we could say anything within Exhibit E, that's then thousands of opportunities. If we pick Schedule A, we're just saying sort of broad categories. Schedule B, we're saying then specific actions and then that are delineated specifically. So I just wanted to clarify that. My understanding, say anything in Exhibit E, that's all the options possible. A is broad categories, B is specific categories. So if we want it broad, are the two broadest options are anything in Exhibit E or the things within Schedule A. Am I understanding correctly?
I believe that is correct. And just to clarify that within Exhibit E, that's coming from our settlement agreements. And I just want to be clear that, again, they provide this as a guidance. So y'all can choose how you would like to proceed, but this is just a guidance of a list of opioid remediation uses. Schedule A is how they identified what core strategies there were. And it said, and in here it says priority shall be given to the following core abatement strategies, and that lays out your Schedule A. Schedule B is then provided as, and these are additional approved uses, and it kind of goes into a little bit more specifics of what treatment, prevention, and then those other strategies that could be all encompassing for opioid remediation.
All right, I just feel like she just made that real complicated. What else do you need us to answer?
I just need clear if y'all are wanting to, it sounds like there's two veins that we could be going, Schedule A or going into treatment, prevention, other strategies, which include harm reduction, payment for recovery coaches, and housing is what I got. I just need to know if I heard correctly, and which direction y'all would like to go in.
Vice Chair.
Sounds like you mentioned 6 things that we've come up with: the housing, the detention. I mean, am I doing it right on my? Yeah. 6 things. So why not give a $30,000 grant, or ask them to give a $40,000 grant or $35,000 grant for one of all 6 of those things, and whoever scores the best in those 6 categories. I'm just trying to come up with an idea. Commissioners.
Commissioner Morales.
I'm good with that. I just feel like if we can find someone or an entity that's inclusive to all of them. Like when we say other, that we kept going back and forth about this other in the language earlier. And so I don't want it to be too broad to where something happens and then we come back and question it because it's not clear enough. So with the new additions, why can't we, instead of saying other, like, just list them? I think that would be easier because then you got 6 people, 8 people with one of the 6 things that we're looking for. And then you got to go out and outsource it, especially with the housing. I feel like if the young lady that was sitting next to me has the one-stop shop, if you will, or that whole wraparound service, why not? And if they score high, of course, why not give it to them instead of, oh, she has 4 to 6 and we still have to outsource, especially when it comes, she has some really good points when it came to, you know, if it's a mom with kids who's in the mission, like, do we leave them there? Or, you know, how do we support them? And if she has the money to support them for whatever the recovery is and to get them, you know, safe housing, let her do it instead of she's a point person and now she has to give a warm handoff to somebody else. So that would be my recommendation. As far as the wording goes, I would just say, and not limited to blah, blah, blah instead of other, so that we're specific.
Thank you, Chair. One of the community organizations, so if we go with option 3, which is prevention, treatment, and other, as we're defining other, the Alano Club is another recovery organization that's come forward. That's a recovery-oriented provider, and so is not then covered in option 3 as we're discussing it. If we look at Schedule A, item E, which is expansion of warm handoff and recovery services, item number 4 includes housing, transportation, job placement training, childcare, wraparound services to individuals in recovery. So it does address sort of all of the things that we're talking about. It lists a number of other items. But again, I just think Schedule A will address housing, can address an organization like the Alano Club. So some of those immediate needs, because they're broad, like core services strategies.
So if you want to just list them all out, you can. But the groups like the Alano Club could fall under treatment and prevention. They have meetings and it's prevention, it's treatment. So, but if you want to list them all out, you can give Lindy the list, because I'm not really hearing a whole lot from others, and then we kind of move on. You want to do that? You want to do it now or you want to do it later?
What would you like me to do, Chair?
List out the things that you're saying that we should be doing.
That would be Schedule A.
Schedule A, Lindy.
All right, I think I understand the direction, and we'll move forward. So the next 2 questions that I have are things that I believe I know the answer to, but I'm just making sure for clarification. So the first question is, grantees may have up to a year to spend their award, or is the desire to have a shorter time frame? And then the second question, will being a recipient of a micro grant disqualify an organization from receiving a county grant later?
I would say 1 year is a good timeline, and no. Anybody disagree? I'm gonna need you to wake up.
And then the very last thing, I wasn't quite sure from the discussion last time, but is there a desire for any of the commissioners to participate in the review and scoring application process? If so, I just need to know who. And then I did just want to remind the board that the task force did mention today that they would like to see someone scoring the applications that has lived experience. When I was talking to the foundation, they also did say if there is someone with this background or in the substance use world that could be participating in that committee, that they would be open to that too. So wanted to pose that to y'all and try to get an understanding. You have time to think on that component if you'd like to think on that component, because it doesn't factor into creating the application for the scoring matrix.
Is there a certain number of people that they're looking for to join the committee?
I think initially I thought it was just, maybe a couple of commissioners would be interested. I'd said what I had heard from the discussion, maybe there was up to like 4 of y'all that were interested. So I think that they would be open if it's 4 of y'all, if it's a combination of 4 of y'all, and that includes some of the task force members. I think they would be open to whatever it is that y'all would like to have.
Okay. Any commissioners want to volunteer? Sure. And then as far as the people with lived experience, it seems to me like most of the people on the task force will be applying for the grant. So I was thinking we could maybe somebody or a couple people, I would volunteer to look at some of the applications of folks that we didn't appoint to the committee with lived experience, and maybe have one or two of those people serve on the scoring committee if they're interested. Any other discussion on this? Commissioner Shrebs? I don't believe it. She is not asleep. Okay. All right. Anything else you need from us, Lindy? All right. That was a great discussion, guys. Next on the agenda is the corporation council discussion. I do have one question. I left my notes in here and my score sheets, and they are not in here. And I know that they said we had to turn them in, so I'm wondering if they were collected, because I did have a sticky that said "do not throw away." Yeah. I did not need anybody to read my notes. I'll be writing inappropriate things. Anybody want to kick off the discussion? Oh, all of y'all are still in your folder. Smart guys. All right, Vice Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you to all the candidates. We had actually would give a kudos, he's not here right now, to Kevin. We had a hard time getting people to apply, and then all of a sudden we got 4 great candidates. And I think that was a testament to the work that, there he is, giving you a compliment, Kevin. We had 4 great candidates. I thought, in my opinion, one was far and away the best. There was another one I thought that was pretty good. Joe Harbour, I think, did a very good job. I think the best was Lou, in my opinion. I thought that he showed basically what got me was his commitment to service. When he talked a lot about, this is why I do what I do. A lot of lawyers can go make a lot more money somewhere else. And the motivation for a lot of attorneys is billable hours. It's not that way with Lou. He tries to figure out a way to get to the bottom of things and tries to solve a problem, as opposed to, you know, how many hours can I bill on this? So my number one choice is Lou. I think Joe Harbour did fairly well as well, but those are my 1 and 2.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other commissioners? Commissioner DeLu?
Gonna go around the room, I guess. I agree with Commissioner Taylor on one point, but not the second one. They were my top 2 as well, but I believe Joe, his resume, his interview, his experience, his Kalamazoo connections, in my mind, he was the top candidate out of all 4. Every question we posed to him, he's either dealt with it or is dealing with it. He had some great ideas for the office. And I just felt like he could start tomorrow and just be very comfortable and fit right in, and would do a fantastic job for this county. I think he would come here and stay here for a long time. He wants to be back here. Again, he's been here before, and his interview to me was just outstanding. So he's my number 1 pick, although Mr. Smith was my number 2.
Thank you, Commissioner DeLu. We just want to go in a circle, or you want to raise your hands? All right, Commissioner Gisley.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I want to apologize profusely for not being here for those interviews. I was in North Dakota, believe it or not, closer to Canada than to Fargo. And I'm sorry. Yeah, they loved it. They don't mess around in the North Country. I can only go by the resumes, and of the resumes that I spent some time going over, some of it in a hotel room on the way to Fargo, or North, gosh, what is it? Grand Forks, North Dakota. I have some personal knowledge of Julie Jensen, and I find her and her husband, who I coached soccer for way back in the dark ages. I stayed one lesson in the how to coach soccer book ahead of the kids. I would rate her right up there, along with, excuse me, Lewis. I like Lewis a lot, and it sounds like he did a dazzling interview. Hopefully, Julie, did an okay interview too. But based on no interviews with me whatsoever, those would be my two top choices.
Thank you for that feedback. Commissioner Mason?
And mine are actually the same. Julie was my number one pick and Lou was my second. But I thought Joseph was really good too.
Vice Chair Pro Tem?
Short naps are great, Jeff.
It's been a long one.
I kind of concur with Commissioner Lou on his assessment of basically reading the resumes. And I also like Lou. I think he's doing a good job. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at right now.
All right, thank you for your feedback. Commissioner Morales?
Lou is my top choice. I think he's thorough, as we see in our meetings. We have upped our Robert's Rule game. And I think that's important because we struggle with that for the past year and a half. But Joe was good. Matter of fact, he knew his stuff. I also like Lane to give a different, to throw some women in there. But I think our strongest candidate is Lou. He has at least some institutional knowledge. He's been here. He shows up. When we make requests, we're not waiting over 48 hours to get, feedback. He's alert. And for me, it's the service. When someone, like you say, that is not coming in for billable hours, but the act of service, when we know what our salary is, that he could be somewhere billing out stronger, that I think we are blessed to have him here. So he's my number one pick.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Strauss?
Thank you, Chair. So I think, we had really great candidates to review. And I want to lift up that Joe Harver will be my top pick and Lewis Smith as my second. The challenge for us here as a board is that Attorney Smith is already here working closely with the board in the Corporation Counsel's office. And so we have that sort of like day-to-day interaction ongoing with him, and he does great work. And I hope in whatever capacity will continue on with the county for some time. Mr. Harver has a long, extensive record of service himself. He worked for the county for many years in the prosecutor's office, his connections to the community. He had more in-depth and detailed answers within his interview. And one of the other concerns that I have with Attorney Smith is the frequency of turnover within his application. We've had a lot of turnover in the Corporation Counsel's office, and it would be fantastic to see some stability brought to that. But the last, I believe, 4 positions for Attorney Smith, he's been in, less than a year or a bit over a year, from May to March of 1 year. As a staff attorney, legal counsel in Detroit Wayne for a few months. Cadence counsel then for less than a year, and then staff attorney currently in the Ninth Circuit Court since last July. So that turnover is what gives me a little bit of pause. He's been wonderful to work with, but I know in Mr. Harver, we have a long-term record of employment with the county, with community connections. And I think we would then have Lou and Joe both on the team to really bring us a strong corporation counsel's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Wheeler?
My number one pick was Lou, and my number two pick was Joe.
Thank you for your feedback, and I will last and say what mostly everybody else said. Lewis was my number one pick, and I don't want to say number one pick. He scored the highest based on the interview tool provided. And Joseph Harbour was my number two. I think he was really good. If he isn't offered the position, we should offer him the position that may be vacated if Lewis gets the first position. But those were my top two. I also want to lift up Stephanie Lang. I think that she did a really good job interviewing. She was a great candidate. As Vice Chair said, it was some really good candidates. But Lou was my top pick, and then Joe for number two. So do we vote on this at 7 or do we vote now? What do we do?
Yeah, so Chair and Board of Commissioners, so yeah, this discussion tonight, it seems that there is no clear, I think we have 3, 3, and 2 or something. 4, 3, 2, yeah, so I think, yeah, you need 5, right, for a successful candidate to, and yeah, so there's no real consensus yet. During the 7 p.m. meeting, there should be an item added to new business to extend a contingent offer of employment to so-and-so candidate and authorize county administrator and labor council to negotiate an employment agreement to bring back to the commission for consideration in a later meeting. I'm just afraid that there's no consensus around one candidate, so I don't know how during new business, unless you all believe you'll be able to coalesce around a candidate.
Well, I think we should be able to, because we don't need to consider 3. We only need to consider 2. I feel like there was consensus for the 2 as the top 2, and then we make a decision and vote from there. Vice Chair?
Really quick on the first motion, I would probably strongly recommend to this board that the chair or board leadership be in the negotiations with labor council and administrator while we negotiate a contract. And then secondly, that I would kind of like probably do it as we do a race for leadership or whatever it is. Everybody votes for their top pick, and then we eliminate the lowest pick, and we go from there. And then we can easily, I think we'll have 6. It'll be 6-3, my guess, based on what the conversations I've had. So if we start the first round of voting, everybody votes for who they want next, and then the list of candidates will be narrowed down to the final 2 candidates, and then we vote again. That's how I'd recommend we do it.
Any other discussion?
Can we just make general comments? Is that okay?
You want to comment right now?
I just want to comment.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
All right.
of course.
I don't want to interrupt the flow here. I know it sounds simple, but in my mind, we already have Mr. Smith. He's on board. We don't have Joe. So if we got Joe, we'd have Joe and Lewis. The positions might not be the way you have them lined up or the way you want them lined up, but we'd have both our top 2 picks. Thank you.
I think that's a great point. But I also want to note too that when we have people internally applying for positions to advance, we should look at promoting them as opposed to hiring from the outside, and then he has to train that person and then potentially leave the organization, because why would I stay? You don't value me. I mean, that's how I would feel personally. Commissioner Morales.
Thank you, Chair. But I thought during his meeting, he did mention that he wasn't going anywhere, that if he didn't get it, that he would stay. But to your point, when we talk about all this value, all these discussions that we've had over the past couple of weeks of valuing our employees, you know, if we could say, okay, he's here, and then add Joe, and it should be fine. But if we promote him and Joe really wants to be here and we offer him that second position, we'll see. I mean, because obviously people want to advance and they want that top, you know, corporate counsel position, right? So I would be in favor of, you know, voting for Lou and then offering Joe the position if Joe really wants to be here. I'm not gonna say, hey, Lou, you're already here, you know, and then put Joe in there. He has to, like, I'm not doing that, because in the workforce that happens all too much, especially for folks that look like me. So I'm not willing to do that.
Especially when he's highly qualified. Commissioner Strips.
Thank you, Chair. Just the one other consideration, certainly there's a lot of value in promoting people internally. It's just that Attorney Smith has been in his role just about 2 months now. He does qualify, but so that was a position, and we're in this awkward sort of circumstance here because just feedback for administrator, as we went to staff out the office of the corporation counsel, it really seems like the leader should have been staffed, and then they were able to then participate in the selection of the folks that will work underneath them. Where here we've hired the staff under that we may or may not promote one up. It's created an awkward dynamic where it would have been wonderful to just consider the candidates for that lead position first, but that's neither here nor there. This is where we are now. But again, I've articulated my other points as to why I'm currently where I am. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Strips. Commissioner Morales and then Vice Chair.
I just want to point out that that position was created because Angelita wanted it, and we didn't say, hey, Angelita, as we create new positions because you're overworked, we're going to look at folks. You don't have to compete for your position, right? She got to keep her top leadership role, and then we started hiring under her. So as we move forward, I'm not going to do that. Again, I'm going to support Lou. I'm not willing to bring someone else in for Lou or our other corporate counsel to train. And then we have to start all over. If we're going to show the value of our employees, we need to show it on this board right now, starting with the hard work that he's done. Yes, his resume shows that, there's some concern in moving forward, but I think he explained himself very well on why he left all of those positions during that interview, and that service was his top priority, and that no matter what it looked like, that he would be here with us.
Yeah, we were previously, when we didn't have corporate counsel, we were spending budgeting over $1 million for outside counsel. We then got a corporation counsel, Angelina, who was working 60, 70 hours a week nonstop. It was not sustainable for an organization our size to just have one corporate counsel. We needed a team, and I pushed really hard in the vast budget process to get that team. We put that out for bid for the top corporate counsel at a lower salary, and we didn't get anybody to apply. Who we did get to apply for a lower salary was Lou. And he agreed to step in, not wait until that new salary. He agreed to come here on day one because of what he said in his interview, which was about service. And that still sticks with me. As far as his work history, I think, he's going to go where he can make the most difference. And I think he can make quite a bit of difference here in Kalamazoo County with the makeup of this board, how we approach government now as opposed to how we approached government 2 years ago. How we approach the needs of the citizens now as opposed to how we did it 2 years ago. I still feel strongly for Lou in that. I think Joe did a great job, and I agree with the chair that if we do offer this position to Lou, we should offer the number 2 to Joe, because I think he did a good job and he does have roots here. But that's my 2 cents. I'm going to make a motion that every commissioner name whoever their top person is. The top 2 will be voted on, and then we offer. Actually, I'm not going to make the motion. I'll make the motion at 7 o'clock because the clerk is going to kill me. I see you. But I envision at 7 o'clock us going through a round robin session where we all vote for our top person, and then we all vote for our second, the top 2. And I think regardless of who we end up with, all 4 were excellent candidates. And again, Kevin, great job recruiting those people. But I think we're going to be in good shape regardless of who we go with. But I do think this decision needs to be made tonight.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other discussion? All right. Now is there a motion for closed session?
Chair, I'll do it. I move that the board meet in closed session under section 8E of the Open Meetings Act to consult with our attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with Pavilion MFD LLC versus the County of Kalamazoo, case number 2024-0019-CB.
All right, it's been properly moved and supported. Do we need to do roll call? Now, this is where I look at Lou and he just make this face. Okay. Can you do the roll call, please?
Commissioner Kistler,
Yes, with the mic on.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Heffler,
Yes.
Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales,
Yes.
Chair Ray, Commissioner Strebs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLue.
Yes.
You have 9 yes.
I will make the motion to come out of closed session.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler,
Yes.
Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales,
Yes.
Chair Ray, Commissioner Stubbs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler.
Yes.
You have 9 yes.
I make a motion to support the minutes from closed session.
Support.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. And without objection, we are adjourned. All right, we will call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, August 7, 2024. And we will start with invocation and reflection by Commissioner Duluth.
Please stand, although I'm not much of a person for prayer, so I will just offer some words here. May our actions be guided by compassion, understanding, and commitment to make our community a better place. Thank you. With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Duluth. Clerk, will you call the roll for us, please?
Commissioner Strebs,
Here.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Here.
Commissioner Duluth,
Here.
Commissioner Gisler,
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler,
Here.
Commissioner Mazer,
Here.
Commissioner Morales, Chair Ray. You have 9 present.
Thank you. Excuse me. Next up, we have proclamations. And Commissioner Duluth is going to read the first one, and then Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler will read the second.
Thank you, Chair. It's a proclamation honoring James Van Zyl. Whereas James Van Zyl has served the citizens of Kalamazoo County for 25 years as of July 19th, 2024. And whereas James Van Zyl has faithfully served as lieutenant. And whereas the County of Kalamazoo wishes to acknowledge and honor employees who have longevity under the umbrella of county government, since it is through longevity that expertise in the employee's particular field is achieved. Now therefore be it resolved that the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners does hereby acknowledge with gratitude the many years of dedication and service James Van Zyl has imparted to the citizens of the county and offers its best wishes for many more years of mutual association.
It has been moved and supported. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries.
One Jimmy speech.
Thank you. Would you like to take a picture with the sheriff? No, we don't have a signed copy. We got a fake one if you want. Yeah, do that. Oh, thanks, John. Dale.
Thank you, Chair. James Harris, whereas James Harris has served the citizens of Kalamazoo County for 25 years as of August 2nd, 2024, and whereas James Harris has faithfully served as sergeant and temporary lieutenant, whereas the County of Kalamazoo wishes to acknowledge and honor the employees who have longevity under the umbrella of county government, since it is through longevity that experience in the employee's particular field is achieved. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners does hereby acknowledge with gratitude the many years of dedicated service James Harris has imparted to the citizens of Kalamazoo and offers its best wishes for many more years of mutual association.
Support. It has been properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, although the other two are not here, is there a motion to approve the other two?
I move that we approve a proclamation honoring Neil Field for 25 years of service and a proclamation honoring Jason Party for 25 years of service.
Support. Has been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Congratulations, everyone. Item number 5, communications. We have 3. We have a communication from the Michigan Public Service Commission. They will hold a pre-hearing to consider Indiana Michigan Power Company's application. And then another from Lenawee County, resolution opposing MDHHS approach to meeting the federal conflict-free access and planning in Michigan and urging collaborative development of an alternative approach. And then Clinton County, resolution opposing the MDHHS plan to implement new conflict-free access and planning strategies in Michigan. Do any commissioners have any communications that they'd like to share? All right, seeing none, we will move to item number 6, approval of minutes.
I move approval of the July 16th Committee of the Whole and regular meeting minutes.
It has been properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Excuse me. Next is item number 2024-917, a request for approval of the July 25th special meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion that we approve those minutes.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The special meeting minutes from July 25th are approved. And item number 2024-927, a request for approval of the July 30th, 2024 special meeting minutes. Is there a motion? It has been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Excuse me. Item number 7, approval of agenda. Is there a motion?
As presented.
Do we have some amendments?
Yes, all 3 of these. I'd like to make a friendly amendment to Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler's motion that we add under new business, the 3, the authorizing of the $50,000 matching fund for Make Michigan Home Grant application, settlement case, and a conditional offer. And we discussed conditional offers of employment for corporate counsel. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to accept the friendly amendment, both of you, right?
Yes.
1 through 3 items.
I said.
Oh, he said 3. Okay. All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Dale. Any opposed? The motion carries. Right, the next item on the agenda is public comment time. This is the time when anyone may address the board on any topic. If you would like to address the board, please come to the podium Please state your name and tell us where you're from. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Your time is displayed, and once your 3 minutes are up, your time to speak has finished. This is a time to provide input in a professional and respectful manner. Are there any members of the public who wish to make public comment at this time? Hi.
Hello, my name is Mason Milks. As you all know, if you don't remember, that's who I am. I'm here on behalf of State Representative Matt Hall, and I'd like to congratulate you all on your primary victories yesterday. Just again here to listen and to see what's going on here in Kalamazoo from all the commissioners. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Mason. Are there any other members who wish to make public comment? Seeing none. Dina, do we have any online?
Chair, there are no hands raised.
Thank you, Dina. We are moving right along, folks. Are there any volunteers to take us through the consent agenda? Okay, Commissioner Willard, sorry. Willard.
Under the airport, 2024-828, request for approval of position creation, technician 1, airport maintenance number 6. Under the Board of Commissioners, 842, request for the review and approval of, AY 2024 WIOA statewide activities fund, customer relationship management, Michigan Works. 843, request for review and approval of AY 2024 WIOA statewide activities fund, high concentrations of WIOA eligible youth. 844, request for review and approval of AY 2024 Wagner Pacer employment services allocation. 845, request for the review and approval of AY 2024 WIOA statewide activities fund for career exploration and experience events. 846, request for the review and approval of AY 2024 WIOA statewide activities funding for PY 2024 capacity building and professional development. 857, request for review and approval of the WIOA 4-year regional and local plan for the program years 2024 to 2027. Under the Drain Commissioner, 881, request for approval of a position creation MS4 compliance officer. Under Finance, 597, recommendation for approval of accounts payable and payroll disbursements. 829, request for approval of various budget adjustments and transfers, which is housekeeping. Under Health and Community Services, item 754, request for acceptance of a Caregiver Resource Center grant amendment and approval for the health officer / director to electronically sign the amendment on the county's behalf through the Michigan e-portal. 547, request for the acceptance of amendment number 3 to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Comprehensive Agreement, and 2 for the health officer / director to electronically sign the amendment on the county's behalf in eGrams. 822, request for acceptance of MDHHS Special Project Measles Readiness and Response Funding. Under Human Resources, 752, request for approval of the 2025 CalFlex Benefits Change Insurance Plans. 830, request for approval of changes to the Personnel Policy 6.06, the driving policy. Item 836, request for approval of changes to Personnel Policy 5.03, the annual leave payout. And under the Sheriff's Office, 825, approval of pay increase for temporary part-time Marine deputies through the DNR Marine Grant. I move that we vote on all of these items at one time.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Clerk, will you do a roll call vote first, please?
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler,
Yes.
Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales,
Yes.
Chair Ray, Commissioner Strebbs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler.
Yes.
You have 9 yes.
Thank you. Moving down to item number 11. Excuse me. New business.
Yeah, I move to authorize up to $50,000 as a matching fund for the Make Michigan Home Grant application.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Any discussion? right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda. I'll entertain a motion for the board to approve the proposed settlement agreement. All right, it's been moved and supported. Any discussion? What else do we need to say, Kevin?
Yes,
wanna read
I
the whole
think that,
motion?
yeah, we'd prefer someone read the full motion.
No worries.
I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the proposed settlement agreement in the matter of the Pavilion MFD LLC versus County of Kalamazoo, case number 2024-0019-CB, and authorize the chair to execute the grant agreement and the settlement agreement.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, Commissioner Stripes,
I request a roll call vote, please, Chair.
thank you. Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales,
Yes.
Chair Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Strips,
No.
Vice Chair Taylor,
No.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler.
No.
You have 5 yes.
All right, the motion carries. For the final item,
Chair Ray, I move that the Board of, actually, I think we probably should discuss this before we do it. Before we make motion. Okay, I move that the Board of Commissioners extend a conditional offer of employment to Lewis Smith for the position of Corporation Counsel and authorize the board leadership, county administrator, controller, and labor council to negotiate the contract for the board's consideration and approval at a later date.
all right, it's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Commissioner Stripes?
Thank you, Chair. I wonder if we can get some guidance from council. I would like to be able to, as an exercise, entertain the option that was discussed in committee of the whole by Vice Chair Taylor, in which we go around the dais and members of the board are able to elevate a first choice of the potential candidates. We winnow that down to then the two, and then from there make a determination. So I'd like that. And I'm open to just, I mean, I know we talked through it already, but I don't know how we do that now with the particular motion that's on the floor.
I'm happy to withdraw my motion if you'd rather do a voting, and that's why I was like, should we do it this way? But I'm happy to withdraw the motion and do it that way, if that's what.
That's what you have to do, withdraw it.
Yeah, I will withdraw the motion.
All right, so now that the motion is withdrawn, what are you suggesting we do? Just go around and say our first and second choice, or just our first choice? All right, we'll start with Commissioner Wheeler.
My first choice is Lewis Smith.
Commissioner Stripes,
Joe Harver.
Commissioner Morales,
Lewis Smith.
Vice Chair Pro Tem.
Well, been doing some checking and mine was Joe, but I may change that, so
So as of right now, what is it?
I'll go with
All right, I'm also gonna go with Lou. Vice Chair,
Lou.
That's 5.
Commissioner Mazer, Commissioner Gisler.
Julie Jensen.
All right. You always gotta throw a monkey wrench in there, don't you? Commissioner DeLu. All right, so we have 6 for Lou, 2 for Joe, and 1 for Julie Jensen. So now do we make a motion? Would that satisfy Commissioner Strauss?
Yeah, thank you. It does, Chair. I just wanted to elevate a point of discussion. Council Smith has indicated to us his preferred name is Lewis. So I just want to recognize that. Thank you.
Oh, where do we get Lou from? No. All right, well, scratch Lou. So now my preferred choice is changed. No, I'm joking. Okay, is there a motion?
Yeah, I move that the Board of Commissioners extend a conditional offer of employment to Lewis Smith for the position of Corporation Counsel and authorize the board leadership, county administrator, controller, and labor council to negotiate the contract for the board's consideration and approval at a later date.
All right, it's been properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Commissioner Morales?
Thank you, Chair. Just real quick, I know earlier, I made the notion to, if Lewis got this, that we could possibly offer it to Joe. I would like to retract that statement and allow Lewis to pick whoever he wants to support him. I don't want to, we don't make that decision. And the second part of corporate counsel, correct? Right. So it's up to, I don't want to put that on the table, and that may not be who Lewis wants to work with. So I want to retract that.
Thank you, Commissioner Morales. Commissioner Gissler?
Yes, would you clarify for the guy here that wears hearing aids, he prefers to be called Lewis or Lou?
Well, per Commissioner Streps, it's Lewis.
Lewis?
But in his email signature, it says Lou Smith. I'm thinking that's where we got Lou from.
So he'll respond to either one?
If not, he better change his email signature. Because I'm like, I know I've seen that somewhere.
I'm sorry, I just elevated that because when we did the interview process, and maybe it was just in that context, you asked him if he preferred to be called Lou or Lewis, and he told you Lewis at that time. That's why I said so. So my apologies. If Lou is fine, then that's great. My grandpa Lou was a good guy.
Is there any other discussion? All right, seeing none, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Mazer,
Yes.
Commissioner Morales,
Yes.
Chair Ray. Commissioner Stubbs,
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gissler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. You have 9 yes.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is our favorite time. It's public comment time again. This is a time when anyone may address the board on any topic. If you would like to address the board, please come up to the podium. Please state your name and tell us where you're from. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Your time is displayed, and once your 3 minutes are up, your time to speak has finished. This is a time to provide input in a professional manner. Are there any members of the public who wish to make public comment at this time? Seeing nobody's hand raised and no hands raised online, correct, Ina?
That is correct, Chair.
All right, we will close public comment time. Then we have item number 13, reports of officers, bodies, administrative controller. I don't have a report. Vice Chair has one, I'm sure.
I'll be really quick. First, I want to say congratulations to all the commissioners that won your primaries. Everybody up here won their primaries, so that's great news. The reason it's good news is what we just did right here, how we got from all these different opinions and all these different ideas, and we got to consensus. And I think it's a sign of a functioning board. I'm every day I'm more and more impressed with how this board functions. Our quarterback over there, Kevin, how we're able to move forward. We're serving the citizens well, so thank you.
John, I agree with that. Can you shout out Bo before we go?
Oh, Bo, it's time for bed.
Not time for bed. Vice Chair Pro Tem.
I love it. I want to thank Kevin. You probably got an email, but he picked up the ball with our disaster relief money that the state has And this is a lot of work. This is not a 5 minute, okay, I just signed the paper and send it back. He has to gather a ton of information. And I really want to thank him for picking up the ball because right now we're in some turmoil with our emergency management and he is taking it he's taking it, making a home run for the team and getting us where we need to be to take care of the expenses that the state's going to pay for. We know that FEMA has kind of backed out of the deal right now, at least temporarily, unless our appeals, we go there on our hands and knees and they send an appeal off to Washington and see if maybe they'll be nice to us. But at this point in time, I'm being a little funny tonight. It's only Wednesday. But I want to thank Kevin for his hard work on that. It is a lot of work. I've been through some of this stuff. I too want to applaud this board and our administration and all of our county employees who work tirelessly to keep this county a great place to live, work, and play. I want to also remind you all that the fair, our youth fair, not really a fair, it's a youth fair, is ongoing right now at the county fairgrounds. So please take a minute, run out there, see what these fine young people are working on with all the things that they're doing to promote what we really need in our county, which is agriculture and those type of things, and the hard work that they've done, and they're young and they're growing, and we need to support them. And also to keep in mind, all those folks are both our military and our local folks, police and fire, that protect us day and night, and our medical folks who are out there. So keep them in mind, and keep them in your prayers. When you see them, tell them all thank you. Thanks. Oh, I forgot about the car show in Augusta on the 17th. Please come by, come look at all the vintage cars. Our fire departments, I forget which one it is, but they've been doing this a long time, and they're pretty neat old cars and new cars too. So.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair Pro Tem, Commissioners, audience. So I definitely want to thank you all and congratulate you all on primaries. We have a staff here that enjoy working for this board. So we see that you all have coalesced and come together and really support the staff, support each other. It's really a good place to come work, and we're excited every day. I see that with my direct staff in my office and throughout the county when I go around. I mean, folks are really excited to work here and see the great progress that's being made. So hats off to you all and being supportive. We really do appreciate that. Wanted to just share a couple of updates. The first one being on budget. So on August 20th, we will be presenting revenues. So revenues, new expected revenues, and then we'll kind of, be able to talk a little bit more about some of the new funding requests as well. And then at the first meeting in September, we'll kind of head into some of the expenditures and some of the trends that we're seeing, some of the items that you all asked about during the budget retreat. So we'll be able to address some of those and then continue on throughout the rest of the month and then into October to kind of culminate that entire process. So we'll have budget presentations pretty much from here on out. So look forward to being engaged on that. We also want to let you know that the annual MAC conference is scheduled very soon, September 24th through the 26th in Traverse. It's actually near Traverse City, but right at the Grand Traverse Resort. So if you're interested in attending that, please let us know ASAP because those hotels fill up quite quickly. We also, dovetailing off of what Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler mentioned about the disaster relief assistance we're receiving from the state. So it's $750,272. That will reimburse us for all of the ARPA payments that we sent out. They would also reimburse the road commission for cleanup activity of debris. We'll reimburse KCCDA for overtime that they've incurred, and then the sheriff's office for overtime they incurred during the emergency. So, and as well as the drain commissioner's office for disaster relief efforts that they've incurred as well. So working with all of those partners to obtain all the documentation that the MSP needs to reimburse us. So we'll be working on that ongoing all the way through probably, I would say, September 2025-ish. So, some of this work is ongoing, but we'll be working with our partners on that. Let's see, and then I'm also pleased to announce that we've made it to the final stage of our DEI director process. So we initially took in applications, and then we held first round interviews. And I know that you all wanted to be involved in the interview process, but we needed to whittle down the applicant pool before we got the board also involved, and then our DEI Community Advisory Committee as well. So we have that whittled down from 24 to 4 applicants, to 4 finalists rather, and a majority of these applicants are also in competition with some of our competitors. They're in those processes, interview processes as well. So we had to move expeditiously to just get these interviews scheduled so we don't lose out on candidates. So we have interviews set up for, one is next Wednesday, and then the other 3 are next Friday. So I sent out those calendar invites to the commissioners here that were interested in being part of those. I apologize if you're not able to make those at this time, but I still attach their resume. So please give me any feedback that you have. But hopefully you're able to make those with the slight advance notice. So, but we're excited about some of the, all the applicants. A lot of them have graduate degrees. 2 of them actually have doctorate degrees. A lot of experience in this field, and so we're looking forward to it. Looking forward to onboarding someone here pretty soon. Let's see here. I have 2 more announcements. So I know Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler spoke about the fair. So if you didn't know, they will have fair food this year. So elephant ears, things like that. So go out and indulge and bring your family. It's a family fun festival. They'll have the animals out there and such too. So look forward to that. And I have, the road commission. I was like, I have a note on here about the road commission. I couldn't remember what it was until now. So I did reach out to the road commission to schedule that meeting that the board wanted to and endeavor to coordinate. So there's a couple of things. So the road commission is willing to do that. Obviously, their leadership is willing to meet with our leadership and or the commissioners that we identified. They also indicated that they believe that they have more commissioners on their side that want to partake in the meeting, which would make it a public meeting. So they suggested that if that's the case, if they have too many commissioners on their side, that we just conduct that joint public meeting. That is kind of an agreement that we have to just get that coordinated. So kind of looking for some feedback on how the board wishes to proceed. I think they can go either way. They can just have leadership meet with some of our commissioners, and we can go about it that way and then schedule a joint meeting later, or we can just hold a public meeting and discuss issues that we'd like to bring to the floor. So that's all I have this evening, but thank you again. Happy to entertain any questions, especially on the last topic there.
Commissioner Mason?
Okay. So the group of commissioners that would be included, would that be, John Gissler is the main member and I'm the alternate. So would we be included on that? Absolutely. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I think it probably makes more sense to probably have a full board sometime meeting in the future, and have it be a regularly scheduled meeting. We don't get to see John McNeil very often anymore, and he would be at that one.
Thank you. So I just want to clarify, we were attempting to re-engage in the meetings of the road commission board leadership and our board leadership and or designee to continue to figure out how to improve communication. And the road commission was concerned they have more commissioners on their side, and so they wanted to host a public meeting. I am not in any opposition to a public meeting with the road commission, but I'm concerned about the intention of the meeting was not to have some particular, we're trying to craft a constructive method of communicating with the road commission. Not, I don't know, like drawing to some corners. So I think that continues to be sort of the dynamic. I've expressed publicly concerns with the road commission and taken steps to address that in procedural manners. Those are done in an effort to elevate concerns of the community and improve what I see as deficiencies in the organization. But I just want to be clear that the purpose of trying to meet, if there are road commissioners observing our session tonight, is not to draw into separate corners, but to try to communicate with one another. I welcome a public meeting. Happy to speak publicly about the concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm in agreement. I don't think we need a public meeting, and they need to choose. I would recommend them choose who they want to be present. I don't want to say need, but I mean, we have some representatives, they have some. I just think it could get really messy as we try to figure this out. And then if we just come to the table without any type of resolution right now, it can look not so good on both parties' behalf. So if you can see who's willing on their team, I mean, I'm willing to let Commissioner Strebs and our delegate and alternate serve, and then look at the notes as we move forward. I don't have to sit in on it.
Thank you, Chair. I am totally in favor of having a public meeting with all members of our board and all members of their board invited. Don't know if everybody will show, but I think that's the best way to go. It's a contentious arrangement, and by picking and choosing who plays the game and who doesn't, I think we're setting ourselves up for failure and possibly bad things that we don't need to set ourselves up for. We still have, as a matter of fact, better roads than almost any other county, and I don't want to forget that. Thank you.
I'm just gonna say that I respectfully disagree. I think we had already had things in place where their leadership and our leadership was meeting, and for whatever reason they stopped those meetings. And if they like to meet, we've designated 3 people, and they can send their leadership or they can send representatives. But I'm not interested in a public meeting with the road commission. So, any other discussion or questions for Kevin? Commissioner Gisler?
May I ask you, Chair, why you don't want a public meeting? Why you object?
Well, because I'm thinking about the last meeting that we had, like with our leadership and their leadership, and just the attitude and the pounding on the tables, and it was very heated for no reason. It's not necessary, and I think we need to just have some more conversations and get on the same page before we have public meetings. It's not, and as Commissioner Strebs and Commissioner Morales stated, it's not really necessary. It's not anything that we need to go back and forth about. We're just trying to get on the same page and just have conversations and try to figure out how we can better serve the people in Kalamazoo County. And it's pushback here and pushback there, and it's just weird now that all of their commissioners or more of their commissioners want to meet for what? I'm not interested in sitting around fighting with people. Just not. So that's why. Commissioner Gisler?
Yes, thank you again, Chair, letting me blather on. I guess I took particular issue with a comment made at the last meeting, the last first meeting, the 4 o'clock meeting, the committee of the whole, by Commissioner Montiz Morales. I had to wait until I could look it up by looking at the video, and the video doesn't get posted for a couple of weeks. She made a statement, and this is, I think, exacerbated by the fact that it came 3 days after an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. She said, with respect to the managing director of the road commission, quote, she needs to be dealt with. Now, who's going to interpret that and how they're going to interpret it, I don't know, but I think, and I'm as guilty as many, I frequently make statements that probably I intend to be humorous, or I don't think Montiz intended that to be humorous, but I think we need to particularly be sensitive to what we say, because the political season is upon us, and it's not going to get any better than it already is.
So it's a culture thing. And if I'm saying something to our administrator and someone is out of pocket, that's something we say you need to be dealt with. I mean, for you to compare that to an assassination is a real stretch.
Well, who knows what that guy
I'm
heard
not,
somebody say?
I'm not, first of all. So I feel that's a condescending statement, and I'm highly offended because that's not the first time I have said that she needs to be dealt with. Number one, and I would never put anyone in a position, especially when times are high, to say dealt with in a way of violence. I know that at the end of that, as you quote, I did say we can't handle anything with violence in respect of Donald Trump being shot. So to say that, for me, I feel highly disrespected. I've always said she need to be dealt with, and it was never in a violent manner, as everyone knows that in that last meeting I said we shouldn't be handling anything with violence that came along with some snaps from Vice Chair. So
I think this is a conversation that we could probably have at another day. I don't think we're going to get anywhere right now with this. When this starts turning into, when it starts turning into personal, you're not getting business done. You know, I think that I understand Commissioner Streb's frustration with the road commission. I really do, Commissioner Strebs. And how do we solve that? And I think that that needs to be the focus. I've been working with Commissioner Wheeler on some stuff for sign policy on bike stuff. You know, there's lots of different things that we could talk to the road commission about. But I think first and foremost, we need to lower ourselves, lower our temperature, and just go back to the age-old question of why we're here. And we're all here, regardless of where we're from. We're all here to do the best for our citizens. And it's not for personal attacks. It's not for that. I would respectfully request that we take a couple of days and sleep on it, think about it, and then come up with a plan. I mean, emotions don't drive plans. Your brain does, and it works a little bit better when we've all calmed down. But that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. On a lighter note, I'd like to thank the citizens of Kalamazoo County for renewing the senior millage overwhelmingly. That's a positive. And Vice Chair Taylor started tonight with acknowledging the administration, which is definitely deserved, but I also want to acknowledge our own board leadership. I mean, the three of you have, for the last year and a half, have guided me, assisted me, helped me in any way. And I think we have great leadership sitting right here in this room. And I also want to tell the rest of the commissioners, I appreciate each and every one of you. And obviously, we don't always see eye to eye, but I think it's a good group. So thank you.
Thanks again, Chair. I have this won't be the last reminder about the dedication of the new Justice Center. We'll actually have a meeting, I think, before that. But I want to remind everyone that Saturday, September 7, 10 o'clock is when the festivities start. And you'll have a chance to take a tour. That's still being ironed out, what you'll be able to tour and how frequently, and whether it's going to be guided or self-guided. But that's still happening. And bless Dina, she's in the middle of the whole thing, piecing all that together. So put down, if you don't already have it on your calendar, September 7, Saturday, 10 o'clock. Hopefully we'll have great weather and we'll all get to dedicate the Charles A. Pratt Justice Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mazer.
Well, I too want to congratulate everyone on their primary, and we don't always see eye to eye, but I do think we work very well together, and it's been an honor to serve with you during this term. I too am happy about the senior millage passing. I think it serves a lot of our residents very well. So, so thank you very much.
thank you, Chair. So congratulations to everyone who made it, and for those that had actual primaries. I think, Abby, you kept us on our toes all night, and I jumped up at 6 in the morning like, you better get it, Abby. gale with a whole bunch of, was it hearts or exclamation marks? I can't remember. It was hearts. So again, we may disagree. But I think collectively, this has been a good bipartisan leadership that we've exhibited and got some things done in Kalamazoo. So I look forward to the next 4 years. I'm gonna manifest that we all make it out of November. So anyway, thank you, Chair. I have seen your growth. Very proud of you. Have a good night, people.
Aw, that's so sweet. So the same regard. So all of us through the primary last night, whether we were challenged or not, move now as official nominees for our parties, for our seats. So that's a distinction to celebrate and be proud of, no matter what happens in November. More than likely, we should, most of us, probably continue service through the next term together, which is a reminder that, you know, relationships continue to build, that trust is something that's earned, that respect is something that should be guaranteed to others, even when we have disrespectful or when we have disagreements, rather. And so keeping that in mind, I know I am a person that feels passionate on viewpoints that I advocate for, but I always do my best to attempt to do so in that respectful manner. And that's something particularly in our time that is very important for us to role model for one another, for our community, and for our country as we go forward, because we will continue to have contentious times. I want to say thank you to the clerk's office and the election team. They were at it quite late last night. It's a lot of work to bring forth free, fair, and valid elections, which are the hallmark of our democracy, and run by individual poll workers from each party at each polling location. And I look forward to their work in November as well. I had a DHS board meeting that I was able to attend. It's often a conflict for me. I got to hear about progress with child welfare work and related systems. They would like an opportunity to come and present to the board at some time to help educate us about the work and depth that the DHS office locally is doing. And with that, congratulations to Council Smith on your appointment as our council. Look forward to great work together. Thank you.
Yes, I will echo the same sentiments as my colleagues. Congratulations, everybody, on your primaries. Thank you to everybody who got out and was able to vote. It's very important. I think everybody should, try. And thank you to everybody who sent me their kind messages and words this morning as we saw the results. So I appreciate it very much. Keep up the good work and have a great night.
Thank you. Were you trying to say something? Mr. Smith?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. To Madam Chair, Vice President Bryce, Chair, I'm sorry, Vice Chair Taylor and Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler and all the Board of Commissioners. I'd just like to say thank you so much for this opportunity and your belief in me. One thing that guides me and keeps me in this work also is the words of Congressman Robert Livingston from Louisiana, who I work with professionally and knew socially, is that politics is a noble profession, for it is the art of compromise. And keeping that in mind as we go forward, and I look forward to a long tenure with you. I look forward to being of service to the Kalamazoo County community, which is now my home. Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations. We have a very important question. Yeah.
I think we should bring up the name.
Lou.
I was born Lewis, Lewis, But when I started playing Little League, I wanted to be Lou Whitaker from the Detroit Tigers. So my mother sewed Lou on the back of my baseball jersey. And ever since then, it was one of those things that stuck. So whichever you're comfortable with, Lewis or Lou, but in front of my father, please say Lewis. Thank you.
Thank you. Is he watching? In front of my father. Okay, if there are no objections, we are adjourned.